Great, we can start. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Good evening. It is now 6:30 p.m. and I would like to call the regular Design Review Board meeting of June 2nd, 2022 to order. Before I proceed, I would like to take a moment to go over our meeting protocols for today. The South Pasadena Design Review Board meeting, scheduled on June 2nd, 2022, will be conducted both in person and virtually via Zoom. To maximize public safety while still maintaining transparency and public access, members of the public can observe the meeting via Zoom. So we'll now go into roll call.
Board Member Carson, Board Member Nichols, Board Member Younger. It is on. Oh. Vice Chair Tsai,
Here.
Chair Hill.
Here.
There are two that are excused, but we do meet quorum.
Great, thank you. Okay, so next section, agenda. Board members and staff, do you have any requests for additions or revisions to the agenda? If so, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing that there are none, I would like to approve the agenda as submitted. We'll now move into our next section, which is disclosure of site visits and ex parte contacts. Have any of the board members visited the site or contacted anyone regarding the agenda items today? Vice Chair Tsai.
I have not.
Board Member Nichols.
I have not.
And myself, I have not either. Okay, we will now move on to the public comment section. This is the general public comment section. So these are for items that are not on the agenda. Has staff received any public comment in person or via Zoom?
We do not have any public comments, nor do we have any via Zoom.
Okay, great. In that case, then we will move right on to the public items.
I'm sorry, Chair.
Yes.
I do want to just add that we did receive 3 public comments
Okay,
regarding the 260 St. Albans project, and they were all 3 letters of support, and they were placed in a memo sent to the board.
that's correct. Yeah, I received them. I think, did the other board members receive them as well?
I
Vice
did.
Chair Tsai?
I did.
I did not.
You did not receive them? Okay, they were sent, I think this at noonish. Okay,
Oh,
okay.
that's good.
Excellent. Okay, so we'll now move into the public hearing portion. This evening, we have two public items on our agenda. The first item is at 2029 Maycrest Avenue. It is for the addition of a 496 square foot one-story addition at the rear of a single-family residence. Staff, is there a staff report for this item?
Yes, there is.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Board Member Nichols. This next project is 2029 Maycrest Avenue, project number 2468 DRX, and it is the second item on the agenda. This first slide is an aerial image of the subject property, highlighted in a yellow line. The project is located on the east side of Maycrest Avenue, north of Moffat Street, and east of Alpha Avenue. The project request is for a 496 square foot, one-story addition to the rear of the existing single-family dwelling. The project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act under Class 1 existing facilities. This next slide provides you with some site specifications. The property is zoned residential single family, or RS. The lot size, sorry about that typo there, is 7,500 square feet. The width is 50 square feet. Length is 150 square feet. The house size is very small at 868 square feet. And it is currently a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. The garage size is 315 square feet. Now, to provide you with some background on the project, I was able to locate 2 building permits. The first one that you see here is when the property was built in 1946. It was built with a 2-car garage. The second permit was issued in 1996. And it was to replace the roof, replace all windows, and to stucco the house. This next slide is the site plan. The blue indicates the existing property, and the gold indicates the addition. And as you can see, it's to the rear of the property and not visible from the street. This next slide is of the floor plans. To the left, it's the existing. Highlighted in blue is the footprint of the home. And to the right is the proposed. Again, highlighted in blue is the existing home, and the gold is the addition. The reason why we're here today is because the addition exceeds 25% of the home. So it requires a design review approval. And this addition would allow for a new primary bedroom, a walk-in closet, and an additional bathroom, which would make the house a total of 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. This slide is the east elevation. As you can see, there are no modifications to the front of the property. As such, it remains the same. This slide is the west elevation. The top image is the existing property. The bottom is the proposed property. The area shaded in gold to the left is the addition. Next is the north elevation. Again, existing at the top, proposed at the bottom. And this is the south elevation, again, existing at top, proposed at the bottom. And as you can see, the ridge line will not exceed the existing ridge line, which is 13 feet and 10 inches. This next image is of the roof plan. The gold again is the addition. The darker shade of blue is the existing house, and the lighter shade of blue is the front porch. Now moving on to staff recommendation. Staff recommends approval of the design review permit with conditions of approval. I am here to answer any of your questions, and on the line is the applicant representative to answer your questions as well.
Great, thank you.
Can you please promote them to panelists?
Okay, so we'll start off with questions to the staff. Board members, do we have any questions for the staff? Vice Chair Tsai?
I do have one, but so it was just something I noticed, the house number. It was like, is that something that we can comment on?
The house number?
Yeah, in the front, because
Oh.
it looks like it was like a handwritten sign or hand painted sign. Is that
Oh.
something we can comment on as a,
Matt, what do you suggest? I believe if you go to the next couple. Right here. Oh, I see what you mean.
yeah. I know the code has like house number requirements. So I was just wondering if that was something we can comment on.
Okay.
Yes, to answer your question, Vice Chair, and typically when room addition project is submitted for planning approval, of course, the planning will look at for aesthetic purposes, setback. But once the design review board or the planner approve the project will need to go to building plan check process, which in that case, fire department will get to review. And fire department sometimes will require, for example, the house address to have certain color, either the gold, the brass color, either to update it as part of the plan check process to make the house conforming to today's building safety standards. So I think it is critical for fire department not to look at the room addition to make sure they comply with the fire standard, but also on safety standpoint, so they can see visibility of the address location. So sometimes they will put that as part of the conditions to update the street numbers or address to make them more reflective, which is not cost prohibitive for the homeowners, of course.
That's my only question for staff.
Okay, great, thanks. Board Member Nichols?
No questions.
Okay, great. I just have one question for clarification. So I know typically if it's under 500 square feet, it becomes a chair review, but in this case, it's 25%. Does that include the garage? Or is it just the square footage of the house?
It's
that's
just the,
included in
the square footage of
Just
the
the square
house.
footage of the house. Okay, just for clarification.
Mhm.
Thank you. That was my only question.
Okay.
So we can now move into the applicant's presentation. I don't know, do they have a presentation this evening?
The applicant does not have a
Okay.
presentation, but they are just here to answer questions.
Okay, great. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Board Member Tsai?
I do, but just for the exterior lights, I noticed that the elevations didn't show any. I guess for the designer what were they proposing to light the exterior where the addition is?
For the applicant team, can you raise your hand so we know which one will be the main speaker to answer the question?
I believe it's Julie Lopez.
Either for Julie or Helena, can you raise your hand so we can make you the panelist? So we can, or unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm here.
Are we speaking to Julie currently?
Oh, sorry. My question for the designer is that, what is, the proposal to light the exterior, of the addition? There are, new doors coming out, but I don't see any lights on the exterior elevations.
Can you unmute yourselves, please, panelists?
Yes. Can you please repeat, please? The question.
Okay. The question is, what is the proposal to light the exterior of the addition? There's no lights shown on the exterior elevation.
Hello? Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. I finally figured out the sound on this, but yeah, we can definitely propose to add some lights like along the sides of the sliding door. I think that would help with the lights for the outside.
Okay. I think we'd like to see that. Yeah, I think we could discuss that. Okay,
Do you have any other questions?
that's my only question.
Okay, great. Thanks. Board Member Nichols, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, great. I do have one question. I noticed that the windows that were specified, I believe that they're vinyl. So, the Galaxy series. My question was, were other windows considered? I know that vinyl windows is always, a cost-conscious approach, but, maybe some kind of FiberX or other window frame material, could be considered in that case. So I'm just kind of curious what the idea behind the specified window type is.
Yeah, we definitely did go more for the cost efficient route. But we are open to other possibilities if that's like something that would be wanted as a change.
Okay, great. Thank you. And that was actually my only question. So I think, in this case, if there's any additional, information that the applicant would like to share, I know you didn't provide a presentation, but if you'd like to share anything additional about the house remodel at this point?
No, nothing additional.
Nope. Okay, great. So then in that case, we will open the public hearing portion. Were there any staff, were there any public comments for this item?
Are no public comments at this time.
Okay, great. And we don't have any Zoom public comments?
We do not have any public comments on Zoom
Oh,
either.
Zoom either? Okay, great. Excellent. So then I think in that case, we'll close the public hearing portion and we'll have a discussion amongst ourselves. And so I just ask that each of the board members turn on their mics and we can just openly discuss the project. So Vice Chair Tsai, would you like to kick us off?
Okay, so I just have two things. I would, as a condition of approval, I would have them put a new house number on that's to code. But that's all, the only thing I ask. And then also I'd like to see what kind of lights that they're proposing in the back.
Okay, great. Board Member Nichols, anything to add?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Yeah, I think the addition itself seems pretty straightforward. It's in the back of the house, so it's not something that's visible from the street, and it looks pretty. The materials are matching, which is great. My only recommendation, I don't necessarily say I'd make it a condition of approval, but my recommendation is to look for a different window spec, and it's really just for your benefit. I think long term. Vinyl does it does last for a while, but I will say it doesn't over the years, it has a tendency to kind of warp and it doesn't look quite as good. So that's just a recommendation. It is not a condition of approval. I think that would you agree?
Yeah.
That we can just make that a recommendation. And Melissa, I agree that I think, definitely the house number needs to be up to code. And then the lights on the back of the house, the plan specified lights. So maybe could that be a chair review?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Okay. So then in that case, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the project with the condition to update the house number to code and to propose lights on the back patio doors for chair review.
Okay, excellent. Can I get a second motion?
Second.
Excellent. Thank you. So a motion was made by Vice Chair Tsai. And a second was made by Board Member Nichols. And so we will now take roll call. Vice Chair Tsai,
Yes.
Board Member Nichols,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So congratulations, your project passes by a vote of 3-0, and the project is approved subject to those conditions of approval. The decision is final unless an appeal is filed within 15 days from today. No construction or activity may commence during that period or this period, and appeal forms may be obtained from the city clerk's office. Okay, great. Thank you. So we will
Thank you.
now, thank you. We will now move into the second item on it's technically item number 3 on our agenda this evening. And that is, one second here. Item number 3 is at 260 St. Albans Avenue. This is the construction of a new 2-story single-family resident with an attached 2-car garage on a single-family zoned lot. Staff, is there a presentation?
Yes, there is.
Okay, great, thanks.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, member of the board, and our general public. I want to start by thanking you for joining us this evening. My name is Braulio Madrid. I am the Associate Planner here at the City of South Pasadena. And today I will be presenting to you project number 2460 DRX, located at 260 St. Albans Avenue. The request is for a design review permit to construct a new 5,958 square foot, 2-story single-family residence with an attached 2-car garage. The project 2460 DRX qualifies for the categorical exemption under CEQA under section 15303, class 3, new construction. Class 3 exempts consists of construction of small facilities or structures, which includes one single-family residential home. I will go over some of the property details. The zoning for the subject site is residential single-family, also known as RS. The lot area is approximately 17,035 square feet. I say approximately because this is an irregular shaped lot. The property was originally developed in 1940, and it is currently developed with a home that's 2,443 square feet. The home is a one-story home, and it is proposed to be demolished. The subject site is located north of St. Albans Avenue, east of Blair Avenue, and west of Alta Vista Avenue. The project site is outlined in red. During August 2020, the city received an application from the property owner of 260 St. Albans Avenue to remove the property from the city of South Pasadena's inventory of cultural resources. The consultant, Sapos Environmental, completed a historic resource evaluation, also known as an HRE report, of the property in order to establish the property's status and eligibility for the inventory of cultural resources. The HRE concluded that the property was not eligible for federal, state, or local listings, either individually or as a contributor of a historic district. In addition, the survey found that the property was no longer eligible for the CHR status code of 5S3 designation. CHR stands for the California Historical Resource Status Code. The recommendation of the CHR status code for the subject property was 6Z, which is ineligible for federal, state, or local listing. Based on the findings, the property at 260 St. Albans Avenue qualified for its removal from the inventory of cultural resources. On November 19th, 2020, the Cultural Heritage Commission conducted a public hearing regarding the removal of 260 St. Albans from the inventory. The CHC voted 5-0, recommending the removal of the property to City Council. On January 20th, 2021, the City Council adopted resolution number 7697 with a 5-0 vote to remove 260 St. Albans Avenue from the inventory of cultural resources. You may also see the resolution under attachment 3 of the staff report. Here we have pictures of the front of the home as it currently stands from St. Albans. And here we have more pictures of the rear of the property. The existing single-family residence, as mentioned, is proposed to be demolished, and the existing pool will be infilled. As part of the proposed 5,958 square foot single-family residence with the 2-car garage attached, the plans also include a proposed terrace above the garage with a wood trellis similar to the existing home on site. Additionally, the project also includes to construct a new pool and spa located at the rear of the property. The basement floor plan proposes a laundry room, a mudroom, and a bedroom with the attached 2-car garage. The first floor includes 2 bedrooms, 2 living spaces, 1 dining area, a kitchen, a 164 square foot covered porch at the front, and a 272 square foot covered porch at the rear. The proposed 2nd-story floor plan includes 1 bedroom, 1 primary suite, 1 yoga room, and a common living space with a 625 square foot deck located at the front and a 725 square foot deck facing the rear. Here we have the front elevations of the proposed project. The height of the structure will not exceed the maximum 35-foot height limitation by our development standards. The proposed architectural style is modern contemporary. The exterior elevations consist of a variety of building materials, including but not limited to smooth plaster, limestone, fixed panels, encasement windows and doors, and solid white oak for wood accents. Here we have the proposed west elevation. And the proposed east elevation. The final elevation we'll be looking at will be the rear elevation, which also shows the pool. Finally, here we have the preliminary landscape plan submitted as part of the development set. As conditioned, the applicant will submit a final set of landscape plans to be reviewed and approved before the issuance of any building permits. This concludes staff's presentation, and the board does have 4 options on how to proceed. You can approve the project as proposed without any changes. You can approve the project with modifications to the conditions or design. You can continue the project to future hearing dates and direct the applicant to make changes to the project, or you may also deny the project. However, the proposed project is proposing a design that is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood, as the residential tract already has modern contemporary single-family homes. The project proposes a variety of wall planes to limit the massing and scale of the home, and is compliant with all applicable setbacks and height limitations. And such, the proposed project is in compliance with the city's adopted design standards and guidelines, as well as the development standards in the municipal code. And thus, staff recommends approval of the design review permit number 2460 DRX. At this moment, we do have our applicant available for any questions, and staff is available for any questions of the board.
Great, thank you. Let's focus on questions for the staff first. So board member, or excuse me, Vice Chair Sai, do you have any questions for the staff?
I just have one question. Is railing not subject to the height limit requirement?
You're talking about the roof railing, correct? The railing itself is not a structure, and so the height limitation does apply to structures, not accents or architectural elements. However, this is the design review board, and it is within your discretion to make any kind of recommendations.
Okay, that's my only question.
Great, thank you. Board member Nichols, do you have any questions for the staff?
I have a few questions. I noticed, and some of this may just be me not completely having done all my homework, but I tried to check some of these things, and
No
it
problem.
looked like the site was 23% landscaping, and I thought the either the zoning code or the design guidelines required at least 25%, because it seemed like the site was mostly hardscape. And then I'll let you answer that one, and I've got a couple more.
Because this is a preliminary landscape plan, it won't be the final one that's going to be reviewed and seen. We will ensure that it is compliant not just to the development standards, but also the WQMP requirements.
Okay, and on the FAR for the site, the building is 4 square feet less than what is allowed. How does that work when they add the accessory dwelling unit? How will that be like, how does that work?
So although the accessory dwelling unit is not part of this review, the city has adopted as of December 15th, the new ordinance that is applicable to all ADUs in the city. In this case, up to 800 square feet of the accessory dwelling unit can be exempt from the FAR and lot coverage requirements. The applicant will be proposing a ADU that is no larger than 800 square feet, and thus the FAR and lot coverage won't change.
Okay. And last question. I thought I had saw in the zoning code that the height limit in this situation was 24 feet. And then the design guidelines have guidelines about houses on sloped sites having 15-foot walls and then setbacks. And in this particular case, you have at least one wall that is straight up 35 feet from the ground. That doesn't seem to meet what I was reading, and I don't know if maybe I'm potentially missing something.
I believe that the standard you're referring to 24 feet, is the standard we apply to hillside developments. The way that we assess a hillside development permit is if the average slope is larger than 20%, then the application would require a hillside development. In this case, the average slope was about approximately 13%. So the height limitation would be 35 feet.
Okay.
In regards to, I'm sorry, your second question?
I think that was, there's something in the design guidelines about downhill building walls not exceeding 50, because there's, the idea is that it steps back as it's climbing uphill.
Correct.
Is that also because it doesn't fall under the hillside?
May I ask which specific wall you're,
That was in the design guidelines, which I don't, if you go up the driveway right next to the garage, the wall right to the next to the garage door is a 35-foot wall.
yes, that is livable space. So that actually holds the bedroom of the basement area. And so that wouldn't be considered a retaining wall. That in fact would be part of the structure. However, we did take into consideration those limitations for any walls or retaining walls that are exceeding that maximum. And what we were able to accomplish with the help of the applicant is we provided different steps so that any walls that are larger than the code allows would then be minimized by scaling down right in front of it, different flower beds, and we don't have that massing wall that we were originally concerned about.
I'd have to look, but I think the thing that I saw in the design guidelines was a section of the actual house. It wasn't a retaining wall situation.
Okay, thank you. My colleague reminded me that that section is under the hillside development.
Yeah.
So if this had that slope that averaged over the 20%, then we would be applying it.
Okay. That's all.
Great, thank you, Board Member Nichols. Most of my questions were actually answered. I have the same question about the railing exceeding the height. My experience with the city, anything, whether it's a glass railing or not, if it's exceeding the height, it's exceeding the height.
Okay.
So that's a bit of a concern. And then additionally, the hillside, where the calculations completed, it was 13%. Because looking at it, it looked, I don't think it was in our packet. So
I believe under sheet number 2, where you get to see the existing grading plan and the existing site, it's a little bit smaller, but you can see a small footprint, a small print of the report that includes the calculation of the average slope.
okay, so it is in there.
The sheet is AP 100.
Okay. And then, I mean, those were my main 2 questions that I had, was regarding the hillside and the exceeding the height as well. Oh, one more question. This might be for the applicant though. Who is ultimately going to be residing in this? Is this a development? This appears to me to be a development, a developer's coming in, or a flip. And so my question is just kind of, what's the intent of this property?
I will direct that question to the
Okay,
applicant. I think they can
excellent.
better
All
explain.
right, thank you. Okay, so now that we've asked questions for the staff, does the applicant have a presentation? Okay, that's not a problem. Okay, great. Oh, excellent. Thank you. Oh, for your own use? Okay, excellent. Oh, okay. Okay. All right, excellent. Okay. It's not selling. Okay. Okay. It just looked very contemporary. And so that's why my first instinct was, oh, this looks like it might be a development, but it's no. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. Okay. So for a long time. Okay, great. Thanks.
Sorry, Chair, I think it's imperative to have the applicant use the microphone so we can record
So we
it.
can all hear. Okay,
Yes,
we will
on
do
the
that.
record.
We'll bring the applicants up. So we'll open up the question portion for the applicant then. And so board or Vice Chair Sai, would you like to ask the applicant any questions? So if one of the members of your team, the applicant, the architect, whoever feels comfortable, it's probably both. I'd recommend maybe the
Both of them?
architect coming up as well as the homeowner, so questions can be addressed to the appropriate person.
Hi, so my first question is like, I noticed there's two types of railing on the house. So what was the decision behind using two different types of railing? Like the glass and then it looks like wood, I think. And I think one of the sheets are missing, 501, which has all the details. And I was looking for it and it's not in our packet. So I wasn't able to figure out exactly what the horizontal railing is, if it's what material it is. So,
So that's wood.
okay.
And it's meant to, well, as to warm up the exterior elevation. The steel and wood, yeah.
Oh, it's steel and wood. Okay.
Yes. So that, and then the glass, which only happens on the roof, it's meant to be so that it also doesn't visually add more to the scale of the house. From a visual standpoint, from really you wouldn't be able to see it from the street because of the angle. And also to, to allow the residents to have a clean visual view once they go up there to use the roof.
Okay. And then, so the wood of the railing will match also the overhangs, the
Yeah.
oak, the white
Yes,
oak.
The white oak on the trellis, yes.
So I noticed, well, wood actually is very high maintenance. And so over time, it's gonna wear and gray, and it, no matter what foot finish you put on it, you almost have to refinish it every year. So based on what because the overhang is, it's high up, and also the railing is like small pieces of horizontal wood that would have to be refinished every year, which would be a lot of work and a lot of maintenance and costly. So that's just kind of, has that been discussed with the owner? Because I've seen railing around South Pasadena, natural wood railing that has not been maintained, and it's not nice over time. And it's like a beautiful house with really worn out wood. So it's
Yeah.
disappointing.
Well, I think, what
No,
do you think?
Yeah, definitely. We'll be refinishing it whenever we have to. I'm in a furniture business, so we have a team. So if something like this happen, it'll be yearly kind of maintenance on that.
Okay, got it. And then my next question, I noticed there's, especially in the front elevation, you have the arch kind of a inset, but then you also have very rectangular inset. So what was the decision to do two different types of like shape insets?
Oh, let me,
So on the south
which-
elevation, you could see that. You see the contrast between the two.
Okay, I'm just gonna go to the elevation.
Okay. It's on AP 300.
Okay, so you're referring to the arch on the ground floor versus the one that's shown on the second floor?
Yeah, and then you also have an arch on the second floor as well. That's right. It's a little bit, it's a little set back, on a different plane, but in elevation, you could see it side by side.
So you mean the slight difference in the radius?
No,
the
so the one on towards the west side of the house it looks like it's an inset and it looks rectangular. Do you
What
know what?
drawing? What
It's
drawing?
AP 1300.
Oh, I see. Where it says,
Oh, so you
Where
can
it
see in the
says the-
rendering. Yeah, you can see in the rendering right there on the second floor on the left.
oh, I see the
And
square.
then to the right, it's kind of hidden behind, but an elevation, you can see it, it's arched. So it's just like, when I first looked at the elevation, it really popped out to me that it just has this like contrasting.
It's the only one that's arched. It's right in the middle of the, yeah, yep, you got the mouse close, up second story. If you can see, there's an inset, so those windows there are inset, but there's half of an arch
Mhm.
just over that one window. That's the one you're talking about,
Yeah,
right?
and then like right next to it, the inset is square. So it just looks, and I like the arch, because it happens down below.
Yes.
And I really like the arch up above, but then when I see that second floor, the square inset, it just looks like it's off. So I was just wondering if
Yeah.
that was a design intent.
Yeah, so the arches, as you can see, yes, that one on the second floor and then the one below it at the main entry level, they kind of act as an axis for the house. So that's kind of also if you look at it internally through the plan, that's kind of the main axis of the house internally as well. That's kind of the entry point. So it's kind of signaling that main axis.
Right, but the inset, the square inset, that doesn't happen really anywhere else in the plan, like in the elevation. So it just looks a little off, because
Yeah, she's talking about this square one versus these two that are here, the arched ones. Yeah, we wanted to have, it's a, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, can you just come up to the microphone just because we have individuals on Zoom? So we want to
I'm
make sure they hear.
Saad Garg. I'm the principal of Maycrest Studios, and Mehetsi is a project designer. So one of the things that over the years I've learned, homage to Lutyens, great architect. Historically, there's always a confluence of the main arch was always meant to be, Romanesque or whatever, circular. But then there would be other elements supporting that archway. So consciously, we decided not to have arches everywhere to give prominence to this major axis going through. And the subtleties of the rectangular arch will be so little, it'll be just indentation. It's not going to be pronounced like the other arches are. That's the reasoning, raison d'etre, how we approached it,
Right.
And I think it'll come through more in the design construction documents. This is more of a design idea. So, but definitely we didn't want to put arches everywhere, would have diluted the whole idea of why the
Right.
arch was there. So,
I see. I do really like the arches. I do. And it's just the inset, the square inset is actually on an elevation that's it's closer to the street. So you actually see that. In the rendering, you could see it. You see that more than the other arch,
but
on the
we
second floor.
intentionally kept it not making it arch
Yeah. But
as a design philosophically.
okay. That was really just something I noticed. And then my last question is the marble screen. Do you have I don't see a detail in that. I was just curious if that was this block. Okay. It's not.
In
I
the
was just-
supplemental packet, I don't know if you have that available, but we have a sheet with materials on it.
Okay.
Yeah. I can pass.
I didn't. Did you see that? But
This one.
So that's an example. It's meant to be as a reference, but the actual design, it will be a custom design that will be sourced by the client. So
Is that like a block? Is that like a marble block that,
It's like sandstone. It's like something limestone, sandstone. Yeah, that
Got it.
with
the tile?
tiles,
Yeah,
the-
got it. Okay, all right.
yeah,
Yeah,
it'll
I was just
blend in.
curious how it
Just
looked
the
like.
Design, but it'll blend in with the house.
Yeah, I like that detail. It's a nice accent. But I was just curious what that
Okay.
looked like. I think that's all my question.
Great, thank you. Board Member Nichols, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah. I, I like the limestone tile. I'm curious how you guys plan ultimately detailing that, because lots of times tile can look a little, if like the corners aren't done well, the edges around windows,
So
you see
very
the edge of the cut edge of the tile.
excellent question. I always criticize people when they don't follow it in our work. So we always leave a reveal and attention to like how two materials meet together. Like Carlo Scarpa, the Italian architect, best example how he would bring, disparate materials together.
Mhm.
And that's what we've been doing in all our work. We've been doing designing projects in Asia with the same intent, as much as we can.
Okay.
Yeah, the meeting of the materials,
And these are going to be kind of all over the place. The driveway, like the existing driveway kind of cuts straight in towards the garage. The new driveway kind of cuts diagonally across the site. So
curvilinear, and we have separated them with.
is that because of the grade change and just needing to keep it shallow
It's
enough to
too
get a car up
steep
there?
right now. It grazes everybody's car, and
Yeah.
it looks awkward. Like you got to
Yeah,
push your
yeah.
throttle the car and just keep going. So
I was just wondering
Yeah.
because it
yeah, and then
It-
it's not inviting. Also, it's not really uninviting.
Yeah, the reason I ask is, because what I was asking earlier about the quantity of site that's left for landscaping being pretty limited, the driveway takes kind of a big chunk of that up, and I assumed it was because of the
It was
grade change.
approach was yeah,
But yeah.
but we're gonna make up the remaining percentage.
The front entry, to kind of follow up on the question about the arches,
Hmm.
that kind of front porch piece with the arch in it. I kind of look at it and I think you kind of talk about this idea of those pieces having the arch. And then I wonder, well, why doesn't the window, you put a rectangular window and an arch sort of recess? And then sort of to take that a little further, the front door is like around the corner. And,
Yeah, it was intentionally.
okay,
Was
so,
not meant to face the street.
It
For
was
her,
more like direction, like
yeah,
facing the
and she
west.
did some analysis. I mean, her philosophically,
Feng shui.
feng shui type, you don't want to face.
yeah,
south
yeah.
It
and
has
outside
to
and
be-
west, because that's how our entrance
Yeah.
right.
Mm.
it
It
was
just like,
dictated for those.
I look at those windows and those arches and I think you're fitting a square peg in a round, like,
But
I
think
feel
it
like
was
they want to be.
intentional, and I've seen examples of similar, like I'm saying.
Mhm.
I mean, even in Italy, I've seen examples of houses where older homes where arches were only in Florence, for example,
Mm.
where not everything was arched.
Yeah.
But there was a combination,
Oh, I don't mind the arch. I'm just asking,
So that's
because
why
it's
we
like
didn't-
the
we
same
didn't want to-
rectangular window everywhere
We
else.
didn't want to keep
in
the
that
arches
spot.
everywhere and to have a big pronounced archway only in one axis.
No, I'm not,
Okay.
I'm saying the window that's in the arch,
Oh, the
it's
window
still a
within the arch.
rectangle.
Okay.
I'm asking, like, does that,
That'd be good. Oh,
yeah.
definitely.
And then
Like a little curve.
just two more questions.
Oh, no. by all
Uh,
means, yeah.
So there's a little, like, what seems to me kind of a little pop out at the guest bedroom that it's on the far right lower side of that image that's on the screen right now.
Oh,
um,
you mean on the,
It's like a wood panel.
oh,
There's
that
edges.
thing is
Yeah.
Oh, no, go. It's the south, this elevation. Yeah, right there where the mouse is right now.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
we were gonna do like a stone kind of carved, like a, or.
But
wood.
why does that piece of the plan need to pop out at all? Like,
Oh, why is it
yeah,
pulling
why
out?
is it just seems like extraneous to me.
Actually, the room, what he's saying, why is the room sticking out like that? Plan wise,
Mhm.
on the plan, where's the plan? Yeah. There was a tree one time and then what it lends itself, like a little sitting area
Mhm.
into the courtyard.
Well, it had in this plan, it had chairs drawn in there, but it didn't look, but the door was there. So it didn't really look like there was room for it to be a sitting area, but also to be the path that you
Well, it's
enter.
kind of, there are chairs there.
It just didn't seem like it was either too small for the door to, like you're gonna walk in and hit your shin on that chair that's right in front of you.
Well, you could have a single chair.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of being part of the courtyard.
Mhm.
That's why it sticks out
Okay.
rather than having a flat wall.
And last question, can you go back to the south elevation, please? Yeah, this one. So there's two wood kind of eyebrows over the windows.
Or like
There's-
a trellis.
Yeah, the little trellis that kind of acts as the shading element. So this is kind of a minor thing, but the one on the upper right is right above the windows, which feels better to me. The one on the left is kind of like halfway up the wall, which feels like it's just kind of
I mean, in
tacked
terms
on.
of bringing it down.
Yeah, like it feels
Yeah.
like it wants to be more
I
like it
think it was
belongs to
following the
window.
line, demarcated line there, so that's why. But
also
it
looks
can be
thicker.
brought down. We can still.
Yeah, and
do
they're
it.
they're different dimensions too. Like I feel
Yeah.
like there should be some consistency because there's kind of a lot going on, and I think anything
can-
that could,
That's okay.
yeah. But that was all my comments. Or all
No,
my
it's a good
questions.
comment.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks.
I mean, it needs to-
I have some questions myself as well. I did realize that we didn't open up the public hearing to your public comments. I don't know if we have individuals in the audience, but I'll finish my questions, then we'll close the applicant, and then we'll go back to the public comments. I know typically we do that in advance, so I apologize. So my questions to the applicants are pretty similar. I think the first one though is, I noticed that there's images for the neighboring buildings around, but I don't see it in the elevation, so context. From what I could gather from the street level, most of the other projects, or excuse me, houses, buildings, structures are one story from street level. This one is the opposite. It's gonna be 2 stories. Is that correct? I'm trying to kind of just understand context from what was provided in the packet.
No,
The east side is like way,
way
very,
even
very
taller.
tall.
Okay,
Um,
2 stories.
okay. It would be helpful to see in elevation kind of a relationship to the neighboring.
here, when, like from the street, you can still see the building going on the, I think it's when you see the house, actual house picture.
Mhm.
Yeah, this one. Can you
You can
see
see
on
it
the
on the
east
right.
side, there's a huge tall building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the east side.
Okay. Okay, so in relationship to the neighboring property on the east side, it looks like it will not be above that. And then on the west side, I'm guessing 'cause it looks like it's going downhill there. I can't,
It goes downhill.
Yeah.
okay. Okay. So, but it would be helpful, like I said, just to kind of see context there to understand the relationship. And generally I would say the massing, it's a large house, but it is a large lot. And I appreciate that there were so many, it's not just a box. So I appreciate that. I have to agree with the other board members in terms of the arches. There's the arches, but then we've also introduced octangular setbacks within the windows, and the windows themselves are rectangular. So that's kind of, the juxtaposition isn't balanced. I'm all for juxtaposition, but it just doesn't feel balanced. Railing types, I actually am counting 3 different railing types. We got the wood. And there's other finishes that can be used. Like you could use like an aluminum that has a wood finish, so it looks like wood. There's some great products out there. If you're a purist, I understand. But to Melissa's point, that can be a lot of maintenance involved to keep the wood looking good. And then up above on the second story, if we can go to the rendering there, yeah, excellent. So I'm seeing there's the setback there and the front elevation for the little outdoor patio there. That has, you know, it continues the stucco up and then there's these insets of, I'm assuming it's kind of a metal feature piece screen.
Yeah, that's the jolly,
Give
the
it-
the
Just
marble.
will be like a same, whatever.
Same as the marble. Okay.
Yeah.
For
Above
me,
the garage.
okay. Okay. Similar to what is above the garage. Got it. Looking at that, you know, I see above the garage, that's more of a square shape and you've got that, then that's two smaller rectangulars with a centerpiece. I'm not sure I really understand that. I would either recommend that it's be, you fully, you know, keep it a solid opaque piece there and just continue that parapet, or, you know, open that up quite a bit. It just looks awkward to me. And I think that's located on another elevation as
We're
well.
talking, there's a trellis above that. Is that what you're talking about? Trellis?
Right in the center there at the second
Yeah,
level.
above the garage, right?
Not above the garage, the one above the house. So yep, where the mouse is right now. Yep, right above
Oh.
that. Not that one, right above that, where the screen is, that inside. Yeah.
Those are the stones
Yeah.
to the wall.
It looks a little awkward to me because, you know, you've got two separate pieces there. Why isn't it continuous is one thing.
Can't make a one piece.
Because they are handmade.
Handmade,
These
these are
hand-
handmade. Limitation to how much.
They'll be like panels, and a solid wall.
Structurally, you need to support it.
Yeah, because it's all hand carved.
It doesn't look right to me. There's something about that, the way that it's designed and just the size in relationship. There's just lots of different scales going on in these facades. The windows vary, then you've got 3 different types of railing, 3 different you got even the dimensions of the awnings that are provided vary. So I think it just needs to be tightened up, some of the detail.
All the
Just
arches.
see if you like see the-
I would say less is more in this case. You know,
You can do one big one in this,
We can just do one big. in the
one,
center.
yeah.
I would,
Well, I'd like to see how it looks like.
I
you
think
know,
we'd need to see it. We'd need to see, there's some changes that I think are required
Yeah.
here.
Like
on
all the arches are like there's 3 different arch radiuses, you know, those things, well, like Samantha said, there's a lot going on. And usually that's what we ask for, more.
I know typically
But-
it's encouraged,
uh,
but it feels a little unbalanced
inconsistent,
or
yeah.
imbalanced.
I would say about these two items that we're just talking about, they repeat, if you look at the elevation, the south elevation as a whole, these two repeat on the other side. So it's not like it's just random. I mean, there's a balance there as well, like on the other side of the elevation, that the same detail happens.
The two little-
So I would just
railing,
consider that as
too.
well.
But then the spacing between them are also different, you know?
Yeah. There's just not a lot of consistency here. I think it needs to be really cleaned up quite a bit. And even, you know, when you look at the relationship of those elements we're talking about on towards the left-hand side, and in relationship to the awning beneath it, like the awning extends almost to the full end of the massing, but those don't seem centered. And so everything just seems slightly off, like looking at it, it doesn't really align very well. So that's a bit of a concern. I don't know. I also feel like the parapet at the top on the second story seems to be, it doesn't seem to be quite tall enough, or it just doesn't seem like it's a great proportion. I don't know how you guys feel about that. So what would be great is to see some dimensions in relationship to, you
There are
know,
sections in the drawings. Yeah, building section.
but with the sections,
It says
So-
dimension.
So in that same elevation, the second floor finish is at 866.2.
I'm more talking about the dimensions between the various elements on the elevation itself. So not within the section, but you know, the dimension of what we visually see between the top of the parapet and that cornice there, whatever detail we have going on there. And then to that inset of the windows beneath it, and then the awning on the other side. There's just a lot of inconsistencies, I would say. And so it would be great to get some dimensions on there to understand where those inconsistencies are.
Like like I had to kind of gauge what the white space is above the porch arch. And, I was
That's a good
estimating something
example,
like
yeah.
5 or 6 feet. That's a lot of white space right there, right when you greet the house.
Yeah.
Like I almost want to see some type of like detail there, or at
Yes.
least the arch.
Yeah.
Or the
itself.
arch should be bigger.
Or-
Yeah,
Like really, I wish, because that's the dominant arch, like, because the 2 arches on the side, I like the radiuses.
Yeah.
The 2 on the side, and I almost want to see this arch having the same radius but brought
Correct.
up.
Yep.
So that
Yep.
there's a hierarchy, but it's tied together with the same radius.
Yep.
But
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I had the same thought where it's interesting because the entryway there that pops out, there is a large white space of the parapet, but then the parapet on the second story, it almost feels too small. It doesn't feel like the right proportion. So it's almost backwards to some extent in just visually looking at it.
like the house, the massing and of the house is really well done. I really like the
is.
step and the varying materials and the overhangs. I feel like it all works really well together, but I think there's just like this one, we just have to tweak some things to get it all balanced out well. I think that's what it is. I think overall it's a really great design. It's just now like the devil's in the details, right? So I think it's just that those little details I think we need to like figure out and refine. I think
Mhm.
then it'll be a really great project.
I agree. My other question to the applicant is, I noticed that there's a few different types of windows here. It looks like we've got some casement and then we've got, the ground floor, they're a different style than the second floor. Was there a reason for that? We're trying to look for different types of window styles or?
I think all are casements. Majority are casements
What are
and
these,
fixed windows, yeah.
these down here?
Those are casements. I think it's a fix.
They're-
Oh, it's a fixed at the bottom.
And then
It's just because they're taller. So
Yeah,
then that's why,
fixed
so you've
and-
got it fixed at the base and then a casement
Yeah,
above.
fixed and
Okay.
casements, that's all.
Okay.
And they have a charcoal finish,
Okay.
not black.
One of the sheets says it's a bronze finish, or I thought I saw.
Oh.
Because one of the questions I had was whether or not the garage door was gonna match.
Hardware was,
Let's see if I can find the
they
page.
call it luxury bronze, but it's charcoal. It's a sample. I mean, the company calls it luxury bronze, but it's actually
Just like a
charcoal.
dark gray.
Yeah.
Will the garage door be the same?
I'm sorry,
Will the garage door be the same?
garage door would be yeah. I mean, it's a different manufacturer, but. Yeah, I don't know why they call it luxury bronze, but it's really charcoal.
there is like an awning, I think.
An awning type window.
That
Um,
if on the window schedule, there's fixed, awning, and casement only.
Okay. Do we have any more questions for the applicant?
I have one more.
Okay, go for it.
There's kind of this language of things that project off the building or are wood, like these trellises. Except I'm just looking at this elevation where you see the trellises over the windows, but then the little balcony that sticks off on the, I guess it's the west side. Is that just that little balcony, the part that projects, is that just white plaster? That one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only thing
Yeah.
that's,
Oh, there's a balcony floating.
Yeah, whereas like all the other things that stick off the building are kind of that warm wood tone, but that one piece is the same material as the wall.
Yeah, it
like,
is.
I look at it and I think that wants to kind of match the other.
I
wood
mean, that's
elements,
something
yeah.
we can add. So right now it's meant to be plaster, smooth plaster, like jutting out. Like,
Mhm.
I think just to some of the questions of kind of finding a consistency and a logic, to me, like
But mostly
Yeah.
was plaster as
Yeah.
a field.
Yeah.
And punctuation was done by wood or the stone. But the intentionally was meant to be smooth, very, really smooth plaster.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because I almost feel like too, the relationship between that screen there that's above the garage and that balcony that's projects out. I almost want them either to be one
Yeah.
or to be like more further apart because they just seem so close and there's like a tension, but not in a great way.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's removing that balcony and maybe just different materials or integrating it some way that it's something that's more cohesive, we'll say in the design. It just seems a little bit like it's an afterthought
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
You're talking of the balcony above, right?
We're talking about both about the same location, the balcony
See this way.
it's pretty much tacked onto
No.
the side.
Here's
You
the-
the
see it
master.
on AP 301. You see it right on top
Is
of
there
each
a
other.
grid line?
AP 301,
No, no,
She's
no,
saying
she's
it's
talking-
too close.
it's like
Do you have a
right,
grid line?
no, she's talking-
right on top of each
Yeah, but
other.
she's saying this.
There's no
Mm.
grid lines. So
Yeah, so it's like the trellis right under and then that, right?
yeah, exactly.
Oh, this bit wider. bigger.
That, yeah, this one, or not this one. Well,
West-
it
west
kind of shows
elevation.
it there too, but you can see the
Yeah.
relationship between
It's really the west, more the west.
the west elevation.
We can make the thing
The
wider.
trellis can be a little bit wider. so you
Wider.
see-
So we can move that. We can adjust the location of that.
And even while we're on this elevation, I noticed that the awning there that they have, the wood extends past the massing there. And so that's the only location that it does that. And I'm not sure, yeah, correct, where the mouse is.
It's because it's wrapping around that other
wrapping
face
around
as
the
well.
house.
Yeah.
It doesn't wrap in the other locations. So I guess I'm just,
No, because that's their primary suite.
okay. It's just a language inconsistency, again, more of an inconsistency. And another comment while we're looking here, while I'm not opposed to it, this circular staircase to the roof, it very much has like a beach house vibe, but we're not at a beach house. And so to me, I'm curious if there was other, again, it kind of goes with the arches. We've got all the windows are octangular and rectangular. And then you've got arches that you've introduced in a few locations, and then you've got a spiral staircase. So it feels a little imbalanced. And now I understand it's probably to save space. So I don't want to harp on that, but that is something. And this is the rear elevation. So that's another thing that I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because I understand that you won't be able to see it from the street. But it is something that I looked at and thought it doesn't fit in quite as well as I would have hoped. So,
I mean, it's either we get rid of the deck. We were giving them an opportunity to enjoy the vistas, like
yeah,
of the ravine. So, or you get rid of some of the rooms, or I don't see there's a room for adding stairs.
I understand. Yes, stairs are difficult because they take up so much space. So,
And it was meant facing the back.
yeah.
Nobody's ever going to see it.
Well, that's why I didn't want to make I didn't want to harp on it too much just because it is at the back of the house.
We can discuss it.
We'll discuss it, but do we have any more questions for the applicant?
No.
Any more questions? No. Okay, great. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Okay, so because I forgot to open up the public hearing portion, staff, were there any public comments for this item?
We had 3 public comments received through email prior to yesterday as of 12 p.m. The 3 letters were in support of the project and had no concerns of the proposal.
Great, thank you. Do we have any comments from Zoom?
The people on Zoom, if you have any public comments, please raise your hands. We do not.
Okay, great. And are there any members in the audience that submitted public comments? that Would like to speak? Do they?
We do have members of the audience that would like to speak in behalf of the item.
Okay.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Jeff Mansour, and we live directly across the street from the Harishes Harish and Dipali. And we've lived there for a long period of time and we know them. And we know that this is their dream home and that they really do have really tried very hard to meet all the requirements of the city. And I'm very happy with the proposal that they've submitted to you. And I, fully do recommend that you pass it. And I do appreciate all the thoughtfulness that you are going through and the help that you give them. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Staff, are there any other comments?
Yes, we do have one more member of the public wanting to provide comment.
Okay, great, thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, my name is Chris Taylor. My wife is Relita French Taylor. And I live next door to the DePauli and these people next door. And we've been having an ongoing battle for some years. They seem to have got a little upset because because I have a 3-story house next door to them and I'm at the very top of the hill. I'm at the old reservoir site, 264 St. Albans. And they had concerns that I can see them in their backyard from my 2nd floor. And so therefore they planted 30 feet bamboo, which is a direct code violation. And I tried to get Marlon, he was a previous code enforcer for building and safety. I tried to get him to enforce the code, which the code clearly states that no hedges on the side yard shall be more than 6 feet. And he did not enforce it. So the bamboos are still there. And it just blocks my whole west view from my 2nd floor. I can still go on the 3rd floor and look down in their yard from there. Now, I don't have a problem with them building whatever they want. I was kind of excited in the past because they had another plan where they wanted to extend out to the backyard and so it was all covered, but I think their house is on D5 historical or something, and they couldn't alter or change or something. But my issue right now is that my house fell right under the 35 feet height requirement before they changed the code. The uniform building code now is 27 feet. So my wife just called me and said that she thinks that this building is going to be 35 feet. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the plan. I just got off work and I just got wind of this. So I'm here to address that issue. And I don't know how that's going to oppose or hinder. I'm not trying to stop them from building nothing. They've been a quiet neighbor other than her and my wife getting into a video dispute over the 30-foot bamboo planting. And that's where we're at right now. So 35 feet is not acceptable. So I don't know how y'all gonna rule on that, but we got to go a little step further, go to regional planning, building safety. So I don't know where we're gonna have to take this to, but maybe we'll take it to the next level. So those are my comments. I don't want to see it not get built, but I would like to see the bamboo come down because her yard there's a bluff between my house and her house. Am I running out of time? Oh, there's a bluff. There's about a 12-feet bluff. And during that last heavy rain, we had a slide on the bluff, which is city property. There's an easement between her house and my house. There is a city easement. We already called Building and Safety, Public Works, and they haven't addressed. They came out, but they haven't addressed it.
Okay, thank you, sir. We appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Let me know something.
Okay, thank you. Okay, staff, do we have any other comments? Public comments?
We do not have any other public comments.
Okay, excellent. So in that case, I will close the public hearing portion. I know we have already gone through the applicant's questions. We went through this staff presentation, the applicant's questions. And so I'm going to close now the entire public hearing, and we will have a discussion amongst ourselves, the board members here. So I'm just encouraging everybody to turn on their microphones, and board member Nichols, do you want to kind of kick us off maybe?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I think the staff answered my questions about the height, the 35 feet limit. I think really what it comes down to me on the design is really about finding that consistency and sort of finding the logic to why things look the way they look, what's wood and what's not, what's plaster, what the railings look like. Are they all kind of doing the same thing? And if they're not, why are they not doing the same thing? I think that kind of level of refinement, because right now it's like still a little blurry, and it needs that little last polish, sort of make it really make sense, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree as well. I think it's really a matter of just tweaking some elements. I think all of the materials are really nice. I think the massing, to Melissa, your point that you made earlier, the massing is well thought out. I would recommend that we get some context in there, see the neighbor's house. I know that the landscape, the issue that the gentleman brought up regarding bamboo and landscaping, I'm not sure what the plans are for those, but we'll have to kind of check that out. And I'm assuming that's something that the city will be reviewing too, and taking a look at, making sure that meets the code requirements.
I do want to talk about the height limit.
Yeah.
So I guess it's all tied together with the stair. So the whole point of the stairs to get up to the top rooftop, and then the railing is there because you want to use that rooftop and be comply with code. So I have to say, I don't agree with the railing as not a structure. It is a structure and it has to be structural to comply with code. So I would say it exceeds the height limit.
Yep. I agree. In my experience, any structure, whether it's a glass railing or not, if it exceeds the height limit, it exceeds the height limit. In some jurisdictions, such as City of LA, they do allow you to move it back a certain distance, like 4 feet from the edge of the building. So therefore it's visually, if it's a glass railing, that's something that could potentially be considered here, but it's still exceeding the height. So I would recommend that either it be removed or that they bring it down within the height limitations.
My only fear is it's going to set precedence, right?
Correct.
So everyone's going to start putting glass railing on their roof to create a roof deck. And so that's something we have to keep in mind.
Yeah. And I'm not necessarily opposed to roof deck. I don't know how about, it's not the roof deck itself. It's
just
the
the
fact
height.
that it's exceeding the height limit.
I agree. Yeah.
So
I'm not opposed to the roof deck either. It's just, I agree.
Yeah.
I
So-
would,
Yes, no, go.
I was gonna say, I would also add, whatever can be done to sort of increase the amount of landscape and decrease the amount of hardscape would be, because I understand the driveway has to kind of do what it has to do functionally, but when the site is largely paved in these sets of drawings, and I think it would be better if it would soften it up and it would sort of make that building kind of nestle more into the landscape. Like the existing house right now is kind of nestled in there.
Yep.
And I think that's a really nice aspect of that site, and whatever you can do to sort of up the green and lower the hardscape.
I agree with that as well. Yep, that's a good insight. And then overall consistency, we noticed that between the elevations and the renderings, there's also some inconsistencies, and we just want to understand is the rendering that's going to be the ultimately what's built, or is it the elevations? And so, I even see in some cases in the rendering where the tops of windows aren't aligning. And so I think just keeping things really, again, I keep bringing up the term consistent, but showing consistency in the elevations, showing dimensions so that there is consistency amongst the parapets, amongst the windows, the dimensions between these insets for the railings that we have there, just making sure that there's consistency across the project. So it sounds like we probably want to continue this
Mhm.
item. I
But-
would,
Do you think it would be beneficial to do a subcommittee for this? Is it that, like,
So members of the board, you do have those options available if you wanted to continue the item to a future date. You can also, it seems like there's an agreement between the board members that the scaling footprint of the home itself is adequate, but in fact, it's more of the architectural elements that we have a little bit of concern about. So there is the option of doing a subcommittee. So two members of the board can work together to get a project that's adequate. We also have the option of a chair review. So getting the final details of the project reviewed by the chair of the design review board. And lastly, you can provide specific recommendations that you'd like to see in the plans and still move forward with the approval.
my preference would be to form a subcommittee because then it seems like there's a lot of elements. While we're saying there are details, it does feel like there's a lot of details that need to be addressed. So it might make sense to form a subcommittee that can work with the applicant to make those adjustments. And so staff, we can select the subcommittee amongst ourselves, correct? Okay. And so, do we have any volunteers for the subcommittee?
I can follow.
Okay.
I'll
So
volunteer.
so board member Nichols and vice chair Sai will volunteer to meet with the applicant on a subcommittee to work and revise the design, specifically some of the architectural details of the design. So then we will make a motion in that case to continue the item. Does anybody want to make the motion?
I motion.
Okay.
Chair,
Mhm.
no, members of the board, I think, thank you for providing those valuable comments. And thank you for creating a subcommittee to working with staff and also working with the applicant. And I think the other item, the other item we need to address is the continuance, whether we continue to a day certain. If that's the case, we don't need to do renoticing again. But if we continue to a day uncertain and to be determined, then we'll need to renoticing the project to newspapers and also neighbor notices. So it's up to the board whether you want to continue to the next meeting, which staff believe is July 6th.
I guess that's a question for the applicant, if they feel that they have a sufficient amount of time to make revisions, meet with the subcommittee for the July 6th meeting. So do we bring the applicant up to discuss that?
Yes, in that case, we need to reopen the public hearing to bring applicant back.
Okay, so we will reopen the public hearing just to discuss this portion of forming the subcommittee and continuing this project.
Excuse me. You just need to know if it's okay with us or?
Yeah, so generally, we just want to understand time frame because our next design review board meeting is July 7th. It's July 7th. So
we
I
are
want to
good.
make sure that that would be enough time to
Yeah,
make revisions, meet with the subcommittee, and then present again for the July 7th meeting.
so we'll be meeting with the subcommittee prior to that.
Correct.
Yes, and
And when is the first available time we can meet with the?
I'm so sorry if I may, I actually want to go ahead and add a little bit more information just so that the applicant is aware. Although the public hearing is on that date, we do have to meet specific deadlines, including posting the staff report and new development plans. So the actual date for the project would have to be by June 27th. So that gives you approximately
25 days.
3.5 weeks.
No, it's plenty.
Is that
But-
sufficient?
And we're going to be meeting with the committee?
Mhm,
Correct. And that most likely will occur over Zoom.
mhm.
I'm assuming that that will be a Zoom meeting with the applicant.
Okay.
Would
That
that
is
work for
fine.
the subcommittee?
Yeah.
That works for me.
Okay, great. So then
But
in that
during business, like daytime, right?
Yeah.
business,
So staff will contact you and
Yeah.
us, the subcommittee, to set up the meeting. Yeah.
But not in the evening hours, like day
No,
hours.
yeah.
right? Okay,
It'll be during regular business. hours.
regular business.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay, great, excellent. Thank you. So then I'll reclose the public hearing portion and we will go back to we were discussing amongst ourselves, but we had made a motion to continue the project. So Board Member Nichols, if you wouldn't mind just kind of saying, as you're describe the motion, just say that you're making a motion to continue the project.
I motion to continue the project, the subcommittee.
Perfect.
And then for the next session.
For the next section. Excellent. Great. Is that sufficient, staff, for the motion?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. And I will second that motion. And so we will now, the motion was made by Board Member Nichols and a second by myself. And we will continue the project and also form a subcommittee with Vice Chair Tsai and Board Member Nichols to review the changes to the project before the next board meeting on July 7th. Okay, great. Thank you. So now we're closing the public item portion of this evening and we will move into the discussion items. And this evening we do have a discussion item and it is our 2022 annual commission report. And so is it the 2022 annual commission or the 2021? It's a review of last year, correct?
Yes, what city clerk office gives staff is they call it 2022, which is both accomplishment for 2021, but work plan for 2022.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify. Okay. Excellent. So I guess we'll open this up and discuss it amongst ourselves. Are there any specific items within that report that you wanted to bring to our attention?
Actually, staff just want to provide background. The
Okay.
reason for this is mentioned in the staff report is on June 22nd, we're going to have a commission congress, which all the board and commission will be have a gathering with city council to provide city council your accomplishment for 2021, but also the work plan going into the next fiscal year, which is 2022 to 2023. And the work plan need to be in line with city council's strategic plan, which staff prepared this draft commission report for your review and considerations. And once we can finalize this commission report, we can present this report to the commission congress on June 22nd. So staff identified 3 accomplishments this board did last year, but also identified 3 work plan going to the next fiscal years.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have a couple questions. Actually, we'll go through the other board members first. Vice Chair Tsai, do you have any questions regarding the annual report?
I have no
Or comments?
questions.
Board Member Nichols? Okay, great.
No question.
Thank you. I noticed that there was a section for myself as the chair to write a brief message. I jotted something down. Should I just send that to you directly, Matt, or what's the best procedure?
Yes, as part of this annual commission report, we do require a message from the chair. So
Okay.
we do, so I can work with you, Chair Hill, to get a message as part of the report. Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'll keep it very positive and upbeat, I promise. And so I've prepared that, so I'll send that to you. And then I noticed here, just in terms of the numbers, these are just more detailed. Sorry, let me just log into my computer because I have my notes on there. So I saw that under page 4, under the accomplishments, it mentions there was approximately 63 chair reviews. I counted 67, but it's possible that some of those were review of the same project. I'd have to go back and look. I just did a quick calc before the meeting. So that's the only thing I just wanted to check on that one, the number of chair reviews. And then the other 2 were that makes sense. The pavilions as well as the Krispy Kreme. And then I did want to ask about the work plan. And maybe this isn't the appropriate forum to discuss this, but I noticed on task 5C, it talks about affordable housing policies, specifically the IHO and the ADU ordinance. And so we're going to be working with the staff to update, it sounds like, the design guidelines or revisit them in that case. Is that the plan?
Yes, yes. Staff was going to provide a staff comment and then just kind of a little background for the design review board. Our staff got the grant from SCAP, Southern California Associate Government, working with the consultant AECOM, and what they're doing is helping city staff, couple city staff, including city of Santa Monica, Santa Fe Spring, and Montebello, and also city of South Pasadena, to create what we call objective development standard for housing applications. So we're in the process of kind of working with the consultants. So we'll bring that kind of work study session to both Planning Commission and Design Review Board in the next couple of months.
Okay.
So that's why staff identified as a kind of perfect work plan going into this. Staff will definitely need your guidance to create an objective standard to encourage housing application to address our housing needs.
Shortage. Yeah. Okay, excellent. And then so that was specific to the design review board, but then I noticed in the work plan here, section 5, it appeared, that's basically to approach the affordable housing. There's discussion of creating a housing division within the city. Is that something that we'll be working with? I don't know the time frame of that, and I don't know if that's actually moving forward, but 5A, city housing division, create a housing division in community development.
Yes, to answer your questions, we're in the middle of a budget season, and our director, Angelica Frasalupo, did request a new position for a housing analyst. What that person will do is track all of the latest and also future coming AB, SBs, bill from the state, and also working with not just the state housing legislative bodies, but also working with housing groups, kind of make sure we're on top of our housing goals to accomplish our housing arena objectives. And
Okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted to check on that. I know in terms of the design review board, typically, and we don't do ADU reviews specifically. We do just the, if it's on the main house itself, but I was wondering if that would be affected in any way. We don't have to, that question doesn't need to be answered tonight if it's something that we can address in the future with the house, with that specific housing division, if it's formulated in the future. So that was just my general comments or questions. I think that was it then. Do we have any other? No. Nope.
No comments.
Nope.
Okay, great. Thank you. So then, moving on,
yep.
mhm.
Chair Hill, if I can get the I was kind of inform up staff like to take a motion and second to approve the draft work plan.
Got it. Sorry. I did not approve the draft. So do we need to take a vote on that, or okay. So can someone make a motion to approve the draft?
I'll make a motion to approve the draft.
Great, thanks. Can I get a second?
Second.
Excellent. So we'll take roll call. Vice Chair Tsai,
Yes.
Board Member Nichols,
Yes.
and then myself, yes. We approve the draft. Okay. And so then next item on the agenda is administration. So do we have any comments, general comments from our design review board members? Vice Chair Tsai,
No comments.
No comments.
Board Member Nichols, okay, great, no comments. I also don't have any comments at this time. Typically, we also move into subcommittees, but I don't believe we have any subcommittees currently. I know we just formed one, but we'll discuss that next meeting. So we'll then move on to comments from the staff. Are there any comments from the staff this evening?
Yes. Thank you, Chair Hill, Vice Chair Chai, and Board Member Nichols. and good to be here. And staff have several comments. One is just a reminder that we'll have a commission congress on June 22nd, and you will receive, or you may already did, receive an email from our city clerk office to kind of RSVP, because you'll be like kind of a dinner event. So we'll hopefully we can see all of you at the commission congress on June 22nd. And the second item is a staffing update. And we're still in the process of recruiting our deputy director, which I know Margaret left in March, and she definitely left a huge void in our department, but we're trying to do the best we can. And we're still in the process of recruiting our deputy director as well as assistant planner. And we know we have a lot of applications need to be addressed, and we'll continue to receive new applications. So we'll hopefully get more staff on board to tackle some of the backlog applications. And the third item, like I mentioned earlier, we're gonna bring an objective development standard to this board for like a study session, workshop. So get your input on the development standard for, the task is more focused on multiple family or mixed use projects. So not for any single family house. So staff will bring kind of a draft to this board probably in July, August, or September for your guidance. And last is staff is will be working on the DRB minutes. So I definitely we need to know that we know that we have multiple meeting minutes, whether it be a DRB, Planning Commission, also Cultural Heritage Commission, but staff is working on catching out all the minutes, and we'll present it to your body for your review for the past minutes. Try to play some catch up to give it to you for your review in the next several months. And this concludes staff comments.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it. Are there any other staff comments this evening?
No.
From other members? No? Okay, excellent, thank you. Well, in that case, I will move to adjourn the meeting. Before we adjourn, I would just like to remind everyone that the next regular design review board meeting is scheduled for July 7th at 6:30 p.m. The time is now 8:12 p.m. and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.